and welcome back to BookTube with Amy. So today is going to be my wrap up of the second half of May and the rest of the books that I have read for Royal Readathon. So first up for the Ariel and Eric prompt, which is a book with either sailors or mermaids, I read Off Neptune by Anna Banks, and this is the third book in the Serena trilogy that I needed to finish in order to complete my I seriously need to finish this challenge. So with reading this, it was a 2 for 1. It is another series off my list. This is the last one, and it was a wee bit of a weird book. It read like it should have been the second one, and the second one should have been the third one. There's going to be spoilers, so for anybody who hasn't read these books yet or is intending to read these, like, listen to this. But basically in this one, all the tension and issues that were resolved in the second book are just like non-existent really in the third one because they've been resolved. And so this just felt really weird. Like, a lot of your characters that we have got to know and love for the first and second book weren't in this book for a great deal of time. They were maybe only in it for a chapter or so, and we were introduced to like a new cast of characters, apart from our main two, Emma and Galen, and that just felt weird to me. And we discover like this other world where there are like this town where there's like loads of half-breeds, and the half-breeds are, you know, trying to be legitimised, I guess, so that they'll be allowed to like be back into the oceans without getting killed. And again, like, it just feels really weird. Like, this should have been the second book in the series and no the third, because if we had this as the second and then we had everything in the third book, like everything that happened in the second book be the third book, it would make a lot more sense and it would be wrapped up a lot neater. The only really bit of this book that was brilliant to me was the epilogue, because we sort of feel like get a nice wee happy ending for Emma and Galen, but they could have just put that epilogue at the end of book 2 and no needed this one at all. It just really kept pulling me out of it because I wasn't invested in these new characters, and to be honest, like, I didn't really care about the plight of the half-breed mermaid. I cared about Emma, whereas I feel like if this was the second book I would have maybe have cared more because we were going to see like an outcome with that, whereas this just left in a really weird place and we didn't have like a proper outcome, so the full book was a bit pointless. I rated it a 3-star. I mean, I got to spend more time with Emma and Galen, and I guess I got to explore like a different facet of this mermaid world, which was slightly interesting, but the character development just wasn't there for me, and it just made the rest of the series then feel a bit weird based on the order. So that's how I feel about it. And then for the Rapunzel and Flynn prompt, a book with adventure, I read Tales for the Hunterland by Melissa Albert. And I did a buddy read of this with Liv from Endless Pages, but we were terrible and we set a date to buddy read it, and then Nene started reading it then. And then we sort of read a wee bit together, and then we just went off on our own because we are both absolutely terrible and we had far too much to read this month. So this is the third book in the Hazelwood trilogy, and I have really mixed feelings on the Hazelwood trilogy now, although this is another one that I needed to finish for part of my I seriously need to finish this challenge. So that is another 2 series off that list in May, which is just like blowing my wee never series finishing head off, so I'm pleased. I loved the Hazelwood, and the Hazelwood was an absolute 5-star for me. I read The Night Country last month and I didn't enjoy it at all, really. But I was excited for Tales for the Hinterland because this is supposed to just be like fairy tales set in that world, and that was one of the aspects that I really enjoyed from the first book. So I was hoping that we were going to see a lot more of that, and get to know maybe some characters that have been mentioned throughout the series, that stories we didn't get to figure out. So I was pleased. when I started reading this, the first story felt really familiar to me, and I was like, I'm sure I've read this. So upon some digging, there are about 4 or 5 stories in this short story collection that are in the first book. So I had read it before, which is quite disappointing because this is like a skinny wee book as well. So the fact that I'm only getting maybe another 4 or 5 short stories is a wee bit disappointing. That being said, the tales that are in this that weren't in the Hazelwood that I hadn't read before were absolutely fantastic, and they are so dark and so gritty and so twisted. What was my favourite one? I really liked Jenny and the Night Women, and I really liked the Skinned Maiden. They were probably my favourites. So I did enjoy this. I was having a good time with it. But I think because half of the stories in here are already the stories from the Hazelwood, like, it needs to affect the rating, because I've just been sold half a book that I already owned, you know, and I feel like that is quite poor. If you're not going to do like an entire short story collection, then don't release it as that. She could have probably just added the extra stories, maybe like as an epilogue onto The Night Country or something like that. It probably didn't need to be its own book, and I feel like it's a bit of a farce to call this a trilogy, to be honest, because the Hazelwood was amazing, The Night Country had fuck all to do with it, and then Tales from the Hinterland is half of the Hazelwood. So I feel like actually this trilogy is just a book and a half. Which is poor. So I ended up rating this a 3-star in the end, because I did enjoy what I read, but I can't rate it any higher than that, considering half of this book is just half of the stories for the Hazelwood. I feel like it is a pure cheek, to be honest, and this would really affect me recommending the Hazelwood to anybody else, just because I know how terrible the series then gets. And I think, to be honest, that if I ever wanted to reread the Hazelwood, I would just pretend that was a standalone and no acknowledge the rest of the series. And then for the Anna and Christoph prompt, which is a book that makes you laugh, I read Dead as a Doornail by Charlene Harris. This was the next book for me and Ange from Angie's Book Chatters Out of the Coffin read along. This is our book for May, and they always give me a giggle, so I thought this is a good one to keep for that prompt. I'm obviously not going to say too much about this because me and Ange will have our live show, and that is going to be on my channel this month on the 2nd at 7. So this was a 5-star read for me. It was great, had a fun time with it. I read it in a day when I was on the train coming back up from Milton Keynes. It was phenomenal, I loved it. And then for my last prompt, which is Tiana and Naveen, a book that has enemies to lovers, I read Ignite Me by Tahiri Mafi, and this is the 3rd book in the Shatter Me series. Now, I have been having a wee bit of a love-hate relationship with Shatter Me. So the first book I read, and while I did enjoy the basic premise, I didn't like how romance focused it was, and so I rated it a 3-star, and I didn't really get for it what I was expecting. And then I read the second one because I thought I'll give it a go and see how we fare, and I did enjoy the second one better. I think I rated that 4-star maybe. I did enjoy the second one better, and it was giving me sort of the vibe for it that I was expecting, but it still wasn't feeling amazing to me. I really don't like our main character Juliet. I find her to be very annoying. I don't like Adam at all. I was really only reading it because I love Warner, and so I had sort of asked people, like, should I continue this or should I no? And the general consensus was that if I really liked Warner, then I should continue the series. So I read the 3rd one, and oh my fucking god, was I so buzzing that I did, because this was just an absolutely wild ride. This is a 5-star for me, let me just say right off the bat. It's the first book in this series that I have given a 5-star, and this prompted me to buy the rest of the books in the series that I needed to complete so that I can just binge the rest of it, because like I need to know what's happening. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I liked the amount of time that we got with Juliet and Warner, and I still still don't like Juliet. I find she's very annoying, and I think that the flip between like, oh, I'm going to be exactly who I need to be, has been like very quick, and I don't really buy into it, and I don't really buy into her being the chosen one. But what I do love is I love Warner, and this book gave me all the feels. Like, I was reading this in public at one point and had to stop because I was going to greet. Like, he's just a wee darling, isn't he? Like, let's be honest. Oh, I just love a villain. I love a villain, and I love a villain when he turns out to be a total softie and he's just like going to do anything for the person that he loves. Like, that's what we all need in life. We all need a Warner. He's so adorable, and he's such a softie and such a badass, and I love him. It was just great. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I feel like with Harry Maffey, the pacing of the books are always a bit weird, and that sort of pulls me out of it. Like, the writing isn't phenomenal, don't get me wrong, like this isn't groundbreaking by any means. It's tropey as hell, it's basically written, there is nothing about the writing that is unique or I don't know, like, stand out, I guess. But I had an absolutely brilliant time, and she's managed to create a character that I really like. I really like Kenji as well, and I really like James, Adam's wee brother. So I do like some other characters. It isn't just Warner, but I am enjoying it. I feel like for most of the book it was a lot of build up, and then like it was the last few chapters that was sort of the action, but I didn't mind that because we were getting a lot of time with Warner. I think that if this book was more Adam centred, that probably would have put me off and stopped me from continuing the series. But I'm excited to see where we go, especially considering this was a 5-star for me. So I'm buzzing. So that has been everything that I have read in May, and I've had an absolute corker a reading month, let me tell you. It's been quite a mix of genres and quite a mix of 4s and 5 stars, so I'm really pleased. I haven't had anything lower than a 3, which I think is brilliant for an entire month. I'm really pleased, and I'm also pleased that I managed to hit all of my prompts for the Royal Readathon, because here's the thing, I'm a mood reader and I really don't like setting myself a TBR at all. I feel like as soon as I put a book on a TBR, it is like the last book in the world that I want to read, even if it's something that I am so buzzing and so excited for. And so the fact that I've managed to read for all of these prompts and I've no doubled up or anything, I'm really proud of myself for. And I think it just goes to show like how open-ended the prompts are, that you can sort of mix them up, and you can read a variety of books. And I tried to not forward plan too much in terms of what I was wanting to read. Just sort of was waiting till I was finished a book and saying like, well, right, what do I fancy next? The only book that I am obviously quite what's the word I don't ken the word. That I know I need to read are my Suki books, because I'm like hosting that read along, so rude if I didn't read it. But I have had an absolutely amazing month, and I am really pleased. Hopefully you're enjoying everything that you're reading at the moment. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye. Okay.